Because a lot of people, like he was saying this morning, perceive him to be this fucking robot that's like, herp derp derp, I just do business, herp derp, I don't care about people. And he's not like that at all. Like, his whole fucking mission is to serve people and fucking make them the best person that they can be. That's his whole MO. And people don't get it. People just don't get it.
How many of you were told, find a woman who wants to fucking achieve a mission with you and get on purpose and do something meaningful in the world? Who cares about the fantasy romance shit? Who told you that? I did, just now. Listen to me.
So the direct request from John Sue, which I think is a good idea, and I think would serve me, and I think would make for an entertaining episode. Basically, he said, if you end up getting really, really roasted, you don't have to publish it. And he was talking about having each of you talk to Warren about me as a leader, not me in any of my functional jobs.
Yeah, Alex has an interesting mix of traits and personalities when it specifically comes to communication. On one hand, he has a very succinct, expansive vocabulary and knows how to articulate ideas and tasks and processes very clearly. When he is delegating or assigning a task to be done, he can be very, very precise.
He's direct, and sometimes that can be perceived as lacking emotion, but he's just certain about what he's trying to deliver in terms of his information. He knows his stuff. He is willing to take feedback in terms of communication, like not just how he communicates, but how he receives feedback. He knows that whatever he says will ultimately serve the mission, which is the business, which is what we're all doing here. He's a strong communicator. Just little tiny things like, I forgot to tell you that your YouTube credentials are changed. Like shit like that. That's not really like, they're like pebbles, right?
And sometimes, he can also come across aggressive. And I don't think that often helps him get a point across. Oftentimes his message is not aggressive in nature. I think that's where he could, have some more improvement. Like the thing is that he's got the actual mechanics of communication down very well. He knows what he's talking about and all that type of stuff. Delivery is sometimes an issue, but never content. Yeah, honesty. This is where Alexander shines. Alexander is one of the most open people I've ever met. Not afraid to express himself or say the truth, and I have to commend him on that.
I have to say, I used to perceive Alex as a very manipulative person. I will say that. I used to think that he was like a dishonest person, but I really do believe that he is as transparent as he possibly can be with his team.
Alex is too honest to a fault. And what I mean by that is, he can people may perceive him as being insensitive or unkind, when in actuality, he's, as he's explained, separating the emotional state that he's in with the situation that's at hand. Like for me, for example, I felt offended by things he's told me. And then after a while I think about it, and then it's like, well, why was I even offended to begin with? Because he's only giving me context from his perception. His approach can be softer for sure, but when you're faced with a million things, sometimes the most direct approach is the most effective and efficient one.
The label of too honest might be true in certain aspects, and it's like, okay, maybe too much information is given to a team, and that can lead to, people worrying when they don't need to, or items like that. But I feel like he does a very good job of being honest for the purpose of level setting, and sometimes people will call that too honest. And yeah, it just comes with pros and cons.
He can be incredibly authentic, and it's like, or transparent, but I mean at the same time that poses burdens to people that work for us too, right? Because if he's transparent about any of the struggles that we're going through, that affects everybody else on the team. And we obviously as a team are a family. We love each other, we care about each other, and when we see him being authentic, or at least when I see him being authentic or transparent like that in an emotionally vulnerable way, I am the type of person that's like, I just want to give you a hug. And that's sort of distracting from, my ability to do my job.
Some of the ideas that he develops are just amazing. Like the problems that we can solve through his creativity is excellent, and the team can really get behind the kinds of ideas that he can generate.
Helped me grow my my tools and my toolbox for troubleshooting and problem solving. He's very good at it, hands down. You know, any problem that I've ever taken to him where I can't figure it out, he's figured out a way to fix it. Even stuff that it's like completely out of his scope, he'll figure it out.
The issue with that is the team gets around that so quickly. Like, there's so many good ideas that there ends up being a tendency to try to do too much too quickly all at once.
One of the things that I find with Alex is he's so passionate and so driven to customer satisfaction that he'll sometimes overcommit, and as a result it affects the rest of us, and it affects him even more so, because then he realizes, shit, I overcommitted, sorry guys, we have to do this.
He's very flexible, but to, I think, maybe a fault, just because there are so many times where we've adjusted a plan or adjusted a process or whatever, and it's like we don't even get to the point where like we've been able to see whether or not it's working, and then it's like we change it. He is like a flexible person in terms of like how things are gonna go, right? He's like, I know where I want to go, but how I get there is flexible. I think a common misconception with Alex is that he doesn't give a shit about anybody. I think that that's a common misconception, and I think that he just happens to show his ability to care in a different way, because I believe that he cares, I know that he cares, but I also believe that people have a hard time seeing it because of the way he expresses it.
It's shocking to see how Alex can care about the issues going on in people's lives, and, you know, making sure that stuff is happening for them, that, you know, they're not necessarily happy but getting what they need. What you typically see in a nuclear family in terms of caring, really for Alex expands to a huge social sphere, bigger than most people, and it's very impressive. It's very impressive.
Sometimes I think Alex cares too much, in the sense that he'll put himself through hell just to make clients happy, just to make sure that his staff is taken care of. And it's not the most healthiest way of going about it, but I know that his heart is in the right place, for sure. I know that his principles, his ethics, and his morals drive him to be a caring guy. How he delivers it can use some work.
I think that he is extremely efficient at finding tasks that he can delegate, but I think that letting go of that delegation is where he struggles. Like, he holds on to it, and then it's like a burden he carries all the time. Like, he's let it go, but he's still holding on to it. It's like a ghost, like a hologram, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have it in front of him, but it's still projecting into his brain somewhere. Like, I think he carries a lot of that.
You know, Alex as a leader has a tendency to, I mean, does a good job of delegating, but he still tries to do, oftentimes, too much.
Alex likes to be accountable to everything. Well, he doesn't like to. He has to be accountable to everything, because that's the position that he's in as a leader. And so because of that, I find that he's very effective when he's not being constantly barraged or challenged with too many things. When he's constantly being challenged and barraged with too many things, it definitely has an impact on him that isn't easy to deal with.
But where I think Alex could improve in his leadership is in recognizing more of the things that he can have other people doing.
Positive feedback is not one of his strengths. No. The fact that, like, I've been here for a year and I've had one half-assed employee review where I was given, yeah, you're doing a good job, like 4 months in, was kind of like, okay. Like, you know, it certainly puts doubts, like, in a person's ability to, like, do their job. Like, you know, I feel like if I was doing a bad job, I would hear about it. The challenge with not receiving positive feedback is also, it kind of chips away at someone's certainty. So, like, you could be confident that you're able to do the job, but you could be uncertain about whether or not you're doing a portion of it right.
One of the stories that I have that fairly clearly delineates and kind of showcases Alex's leadership style and his leadership abilities is, you know, a few months back when Mike was starting with us, there was a little bit of a, you know, fallout from some, you know, historical feelings and stuff like that, some, you know, baggage between Mike and Jennifer. It was one of those things where Alex is able to, you know, step up right away, you know, grab the two of them and essentially mediate between the two of them until they could see eye to eye, and both were really grateful for the situation. You know, really, he's able to work on people to diffuse how they're feeling and get to, you know, a sense of gratitude between them. You know, he's able to grab people who are angry, hot, like willing to walk out the door, and pull them back in and sit them down, you know, at a table, you know, across from each other, and mediate issues. Like, he's able to get people, he's able to take the time when required to sit people down, get them through issues, and get them back to work. And, you know, oftentimes they're both smiling and, you know, laughing at the end of it, and good friends again.
When I first signed on, I took a pay cut in order to get my benefits from day one, just because my kids and myself need health benefits for personal reasons. Everything was great, and then at the end of the year, he lowered the plan without consulting the rest of us or checking, you know. And for me, like, with my medical expenses, they're about $6,000 every 2 months. As a result, Alex went through personal pain in order to find a new benefit provider, as well as a supplementary one, because the one that they ended up going with wasn't covering everything. So I had to get some additional coverage, which he had gotten the information for me, told me exactly what I need to do to get it set up, and said, whatever costs you have to put into it, I'll reimburse you every month, and he's honored that. So that was a really cool thing. He didn't have to do that, but he does care, and he does look out for our needs as much as our clients.
Part of me wants to say the second time that he fired me.
Okay.
I know that seems weird. As far as I'm aware, it was not an easy decision when that was made. And sometimes as a leader, you have to hurt your friends and do what's best for the business if it's necessary to keep it going. And I totally understood that. I mean, I was pissed at the time. I was livid at the time. But looking back on it, it was the right decision to make. And I think honestly, overall, it served both of us. Like, we're still friends. I mean, I've been fired twice by the guy, and we're still friends. So the first time he fired me, he drove me home.
And that's it. Thank you guys for watching Daily Genius number 85. First off, I want to answer a couple questions. First of all, for all of you who are asking, where's Christine? Where's Jen? Where's Mike? Well, they're not here today, so they didn't get interviewed. And where's me? Where am I? Well, no, I didn't interview myself, that's true. But I think the fact that I, conducted all of those interviews and then edited them is a way that I can speak. I talked to these guys for about 2 hours, all told, and you guys saw 10 minutes of it. So my input is giving you that input. That's how I'm sharing my own perceptions. Second question, that kind of turned into a little bit more of a character study than a survey about leadership. But I think that works out, because what I've been hearing a lot about your feedback is very sort of one-sided perceptions about how Alex is. And I have to take a little bit of responsibility for that, because I'm the one who edits these episodes. So my intention here is to, let's talk about Alex's leadership, but let's also talk about him as a person, because there's a lot of dumb ideas floating around, and I'm partly responsible for them, so I'm gonna partly correct them. So I hope you guys learn a little bit more about him and can form a little bit more of a complete picture, because he's got positives and he's got negatives. And I really wanted to take today and show you both sides of the coin there. So thank you for watching Daily Genius. Please make sure to comment on this video if you've got questions, to like it if you thought it was cool, and to share it with people who would get value from it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for Daily Genius number 86.
That's what I think about that.
It's a good wrap up of that.